You smell that?
Nature's most powerful aphrodisiac.
Leaving right after this drink. Rock and roll, whiskey, and other stories. With your host, Brian Shaw.
Cheers. Oh, so good. Welcome to episode 22 of I'm Leaving Right After This Drink, rock and roll, whiskey, and other stories. Oh man, we're going to get right into it here in just a couple of minutes. But first, I, of course, got to tell you, like, subscribe, leave comments, all that kind of fun stuff. You know all about it. You've seen enough YouTube channels, so hopefully you can do the same here from me. That would be awesome. Hey, even if you feel like you would like to buy me a bottle of whiskey or something, hey, feel free. There's a donate URL down there in the description that you're more than welcome to, hey, send me a few bucks if you like, and I'll buy myself a new bottle of whiskey. Because tonight, I mixed it up. I decided that I would drink some Ugly Dog Michigan Cherry Kentucky Bourbon Whiskey. Oh, man. It's some good shit. And I happen to be drinking the last of it right here for this podcast. And it's so good. And listen, before we go any further about the flavored whiskey, let me just tell you, I love whiskey flavored whiskey. I don't want peanut butter. I don't want that other bullshit. But my brother turned me on to this Ugly Dog Cherry Whiskey. And oh, man, it is fucking so good. So good. Now, the only other flavored whiskey that I like is by Two Trees and their Carolina Peach. And that thing is another one that is absolutely amazing. It's the only two I like. It's the only two I will drink. And I'm just enjoying a glass here tonight. And anybody would like to donate, like I said, hey, feel free. I will be going to the liquor store to buy me a new bottle of this soon. And it's so good, we're going to have another drink. So as I mentioned in my previous episode, one of my favorite YouTube channels is a channel called My Lunch Break. And this guy kind of dives into the old world and all this kind of crazy shit, and I love it. I absolutely love this channel. And as my little nod to him, I decided tonight I would kind of give an open that was kind of like his, which is something along the lines of, for those of you who have tuned in for the first time, welcome, and I hope you're having a great day. It's something very similar to that, but hey man, I just want to give a shout out to that gentleman because I think he does a phenomenal job on his YouTube channel. And of course, there are a ton of YouTube channels for you to watch. There's tons of podcasts to listen to. And let me just say this outright, that I have been absolutely head first all the time looking and watching shit on YouTube about this Karen Reed trial up in Boston. For those of you who don't know, this is like a woman who allegedly had killed her boyfriend who was a Boston cop. And she got acquitted in the first trial. They're doing the second trial right now. And I ended up watching the documentary on HBO. And I gotta tell you, man, the fact that this woman's going through a second trial is crazy. So by the way, spoiler alert. Because to me, this chick's just being railroaded and it is insane. And I'm just watching all kinds of crazy shit on YouTube about it. And it cracks me up because I've never been in, listen, I love my true crime, as I've stated on other podcasts. But this one, for some reason, I'm at home eating dinner and I'm like, dude, what can I find out about the Karen Reed trial today? It's really fucking crazy, but I'm into it. So, and I've been watching this guy. He's the DUI guy. His name's Larry Foreman, and he's absolutely hysterical as he's kind of doing his summaries and stuff like that about the trial. So he's definitely into it. It's got tons of videos on this case. So if you're into it, check him out too, man. It is just a crazy case. And if I was on that jury, I would have been like, Judge, I'm out. This chick's innocent. What am I even doing here? So anyhow, you can form your own opinion. You can even leave a comment if you'd like and let me know what you actually think, if you've actually been watching any of this case. But again, there's so much out there on YouTube. It's crazy. I keep thinking to myself, why do I even have a subscription to a streaming service? I don't watch that much TV. So why don't I just watch YouTube? Because really the only time I really watch YouTube is when I'm eating dinner and when I'm about to go to bed, just to kind of wind down for a few minutes. Other than that, I don't really watch any television. I hate it. just a bunch of shit on TV. At least on YouTube, you can amuse yourself. You can get stuck in a rabbit hole for like old music videos or whatever the hell you were into. There's tons of shit out there. And then you're just kind of like, oh shit, it's 3 hours later. I better go to bed. Or I better be productive today, whatever it is. So there's tons of stuff out there. But one thing I've noticed is, why does every celebrity have to have a podcast? And they all interview the same people, right? They've all got, of course, thousands and millions of subscribers because of who they are. Now, I'm also kind of throwing myself under the bus because I threw myself into the podcast game. And I actually did one before this with my buddy from the radio station out in Phoenix. And we did a 2 Unemployed Radio Guys podcast. We eventually had to end that, though, because we both got jobs. So that kind of came to an end. But the more I watch some of these podcasts, I go, why? Like, what the fuck is everybody... They're all talking about the same thing. It's always the same like circle of celebrities going through everybody's different podcasts. I mean, like, how many times can I see an interview with Gene Simmons? Like, from even like rock music sites that you follow or whatever he's on, like he's on every podcast now. And it's like, dude, how many times can you ask the guy about the farewell tour? How many times can you ask this guy about the same stuff over and over? And it's not just Gene Simmons, it's all these different people. Now, the one thing like I had talked about in a previous podcast was Billy Corgan's podcast and how much I enjoy it. And even though Billy kind of gets a few of the same people, at least so far, he's gotten some different guests that I haven't seen all the time everywhere, like Sharon Osbourne or Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo. And I think just his most recent one, he had Al Jorgensen on from Ministry. Like, these are at least people that are not everywhere. Like, again, how many times do you have to see the same interviews with the same people? They ask the same questions. And as a guy who used to interview people when I was on the radio, like, I always tried to interview from a point of view of like, what can I ask them that they haven't been asked already today or in their history of interviews or whatever that may be, man. I always tried to mix it up and make it different. And still, one of my proudest moments ever interviewing somebody was when I had the pleasure of interviewing Steve Vai and before his Fire Garden album came out. And he literally did like 2 days of press. And his manager had called me after the interviews were over, and she told me that Steve enjoyed my interview the most. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I was so stoked to hear that because I was talking about a bunch of different stuff that these same, journalists and shit were coming through with the same questions. And it just, I'm sure it just gets boring at a certain point. So I always tried to at least like mix it up. And I kind of feel like Billy Corgan kind of does that. He does a little bit of research on his own. He doesn't have a team of people that are trying to do the podcast for him and do the research and all that stuff, which I think is pretty cool. But it's just wild, man. All these different celebrities and shit that have podcasts. And every time I turn on YouTube, there's somebody else and you're like, dude, really? Like, you have a podcast too? Like, I get it, the comedians and so on. And listen, I love Theo Vaughn. And I think his podcast is probably my favorite podcast to watch and or even listen to because he's just hysterical. And honestly, I think that Theo Vaughn is probably the best interviewer going out there right now because he's just having fun and he's a little out there for sure. And, it's just cool to listen to because I feel like he's asking questions that the average person would ask if they had the opportunity to meet these folks. And he's not just doing celebrities. He does, he did a sex worker one time. He's done a lunch lady. He's done a garbage man. Plus he's done, Mike Rowe and Tommy Lee and, David Spade, like tons of other comedians and actors and, and stuff like that. And it's cool because at least he isn't asking the same questions all the time. Like, man, if you're going to do it, at least mix it up. If you're going to interview the same effing people. But man, it just gets old and you just go, like, literally these guys are getting, like, they're getting a lot of money because of the amount of followers they have. And, and here somebody like me is just like, hey, thanks for tuning in, friend. Thank you for the 10 people who have tuned in and watched this. I really appreciate you. So thanks for that. And hey, like I said, buy me a bottle of whiskey. donation URL down in the description. So yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at today. Is I'm just kind of like, what have I noticed over the last week or so? That's the thing. Too many damn people on YouTube trying to do a podcast. Like, seriously? It's pretty sad. That's really all I got tonight. We're going to keep it nice and short. Look at this. We're under 11 minutes, 12 minutes. By the time I wrap it up, we'll be under like 13. Normally, I like to keep them under 20. The last one went a little long. This one, hey, boom. We're getting it short. We're getting your time back. See, I like to keep it short and simple because, again, with all these other podcasts, they're like a fucking hour and a half, 2 hours. Who has that kind of time in their day? Not this guy. And let me tell you, I got a pretty easy going schedule. But even I don't have 2.5 hours or an hour and a half or 3 hours to some people to listen to some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just tell you a decent story, or I'll just tell you what's on my mind and some of my episodes. And that's it. Like, we're in, we're out, we're done. Boom. It's kind of like, you're with a really hot chick. And on that note, we'll wrap things up. So, hey, that's what he said. Thank you once again for tuning in tonight. It is always appreciated. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing and the whole thing. It is greatly appreciated by myself, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Thank you, Ugly Dog, Cherry, Michigan Cherry, Kentucky Bourbon Whiskey. It is good shit, I tell you.
Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. You dig?
God bless the internet.